Hey everyone. So, I actually wasn't planning to make this video today. I just finished recording something completely different about prompt engineering, but something just dropped that I absolutely need to talk about. Like, I literally saw this announcement and was like, nope, stopping everything, we need to discuss this right now. So, Anthropic okay, wait, for anyone who's new here, hi by the way, then a quick context. Anthropic is this AI company that makes these language models called Claude, and they've got different versions. Think of it like, you know how cars have different models? Like you've got your basic model, your mid-range, your luxury version, same kind of thing. And they had this model called Claude Haiku, which was like, how do I explain this? You know what? Let me use a coffee analogy. The old Haiku was like your regular coffee shop coffee. Gets the job done, tastes pretty good, doesn't break the bank. Perfect for everyday use. Right? So today they dropped this announcement about the new version, Claude 3.5 Haiku. This is wild. Let me actually pull up the exact numbers because you need to hear this. Right, so the old version was 25 cents per million tokens input and $1.25 for output. If you're not familiar with tokens, just think of them as pieces of words. Not super important for this discussion, but you know what? Actually, let me break that down real quick because it matters for what I'm about to tell you. If you're writing a normal sentence, each word might be 1 or 2 tokens. So a million tokens is a lot of text. Like, really a lot. The old pricing meant you could do some serious work without breaking the bank. Now, they just quadrupled the price. No, I'm not exaggerating. Literally 4 times more expensive. We're talking $1 in, $5 out per million tokens. And I'm just sitting here wondering what is happening. And here's the thing that's really getting me. They're saying it's because the model is so much better now. Like, okay, sure, I get that. But 4 times better? Really? Oh, and here's something I just noticed while I was reading through all this. The new version can't even handle images. Like, at all. They actually had to keep the old, cheaper version around just for image processing. I mean, what kind of upgrade removes features? But wait, it gets more interesting. So I've been doing some quick testing between recordings because, of course I have. I'm a nerd about this stuff. And the benchmarks they're showing are actually pretty impressive. Like, they're not just comparing this to other small models. They're putting it up against the big boys GPT-4, Gemini 1.5 Pro, all those heavy hitters, which is either incredibly confident or, you know. And this is where it gets really interesting for anyone who works with these models professionally. Because now we've got this weird situation where, okay, let me map this out. We've got the old Haiku, cheap, reliable, can handle images. Then the new Haiku, way more expensive, supposedly much smarter, but no image processing. Then over here we've got competitors like GPT-4 Mini and Gemini Flash, which are actually cheaper in some cases. What's the strategy here? Because traditionally in tech, things get cheaper over time, right? Like, that's just how it works. Your phone from 5 years ago probably cost more than a better phone would cost today. But maybe we've been thinking about this all wrong. Like, what if this is actually showing us where the industry is headed? Because training these models, it's not cheap. The compute costs are insane. Let me actually break down some numbers for you. So if you're using this for a typical business application, let's say you're processing about, I don't know, let's be conservative, 1 million tokens a day. Under the old pricing, that would cost you about $450 a month on the output side. Now, we're talking $1,800 a month for essentially the same workload. That's a pretty big jump. And here's what's keeping me up at night. If this is what they're doing with their small model, what does this mean for their upcoming Opus model? Because that's supposed to be their top tier offering. Are we looking at, what, $10 per million tokens? More? Oh, and speaking of competitors, let me show you something interesting. So Gemini's Flash model, their Flash model is doing similar things for latecomers. A fraction of the cost. And GPT-4 Mini, also cheaper. But this is but I've been testing the new Haiku for the past couple hours, and I have to admit, it's good. Like, really good. The reasoning capabilities, the coding, the analysis. It's impressive stuff. But then we come back to that price tag, and I don't know. Is it worth it? I guess it depends on what you're using it for. Like, let's break down some use cases. If you're doing basic text extraction or simple analysis, maybe stick with the old Haiku or switch to something like Gemini Flash. But if you're doing complex reasoning tasks, maybe the price increase makes sense. Oh, and there's another angle we haven't talked about yet. What does this mean for the open source community? Because one of the big arguments for using commercial models was that they were getting cheaper while getting better. But if that's not true anymore, actually, I'm seeing some interesting discussions about this. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people are thinking the same thing. The open source models are getting better every day, and if commercial models are going to keep getting more expensive. You know what's really wild though? Even with this price we're still paying way less than what we were paying a year ago for models that weren't nearly as good. Like, remember when GPT-4 first came out? Those prices were... Yeah, let's not even go there. But still, this feels like a turning point. Like, are we entering an era where AI capabilities and pricing start diverging? Where better models actually cost more instead of less? Because that would change a lot of calculations for businesses and developers. But here's what I really want to know. What do you think about this? Are you willing to pay more for better performance? Or is this going to push you to look at alternatives? Drop a comment below because I'm genuinely curious about this one. I'm going to be doing a lot more testing with this model over the next few days, probably comparing it with GPT-4 Mini and some others. So if you want to see how it actually performs in real-world scenarios, make sure you're subscribed. Also, if you're using any of these models in production, let me know what you think about this price increase. Are you going to stick with the old Haiku, switch to competitors? I really want to hear your thoughts on this. All right, I should probably go actually do that testing now instead of just talking about doing it. Thanks for letting me ramble about this. Hit that like button if you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.